stuff going on this morning. Starting to print 300 books there, which is what this paper needs to be cut down to, 11 1/4 by 17 1/2 short grain, because it's an 8 1/2 by 11 book, 2-up. So I got to cut all this stuff in half to be printed. But I also want to knock these books so they're out of the way. And then once that job gets running, I want to focus on this mailing. That mailing's actually 6 mailings in one, so I got to break that all apart. I got to clock a couple hours at my desk organizing that. So again, it's going to be all over the place for this video. All right, those are finished. Got another batch of books here. I'm going to bind those quick, then get ready for the next ones. Okay, there's a stack. Here's the second third, and I have another third of these to print. Just a fun fact, I was having a problem with the paper sticking to the drum as it images, and then it has a jam. And that was happening every 1,000 or so sheets. And one thing that you can try that is very simple is just turn your paper over. So there is a felt side and a screen side to every sheet of paper, and sometimes it reacts differently as it goes through. So if you print on the felt side first and then the screen side, it might curl a little different than the screen and then the felt. So if you're having feeding problems and you have no idea what to try, just try something simple like that, like rotating your stock in the tray. See what happens. So I found out it's very difficult to get work done in a print shop with a toddler around. Hi. That was heavy.
Heavy. Heavy.
Heavy. Hold on. Think it all looks good, Sadie? What do you think? Is it quality? What's that look for?
Good.
It does not pass quality control. Hey.
It's different. Is that?
Is it good?
Is that?
It's okay?
Is that?
I don't know what that means.
Is that?
Looks good, right? High five. Yep. So it's really crazy that just flipping the paper over makes that big of a difference. But I've been running all day, probably about 7,000 sheets and not one jam. And I probably had a dozen jams running it the other side. Maybe somebody smarter than me could put in the comments why exactly it likes either the felt or the screen side to be printed first. But there's definitely a big difference. Let me actually show you the stacks of paper. So that's what's coming out right now. And I mean, you can even see it. This is the good way that it's not jamming. It's a lot flatter, and there's a definite curl in the ones that were printed upside down. So that's really cool. So I'm not saying it'll solve all problems, but if you're having curl issues, just try flipping the paper. So there is a stack of almost 7,000 membership cards with addresses and information already printed on them. Those need to get cut down. Then I'm going to perf them on the Rosback, so I got to bring that in here. And I also need to set up the MBO to do a tri-fold on what gets inserted inside that. And then there's 5 other mailings like this, not as large but smaller. So I need to set up the MBO, tear off the right angle there, move the delivery back. That shouldn't take long at all. We'll really buzz through those, folding them, and then bring the Rosback in here and have that ready to perf. I'm excited about using the Rosback for this because typically I always perf this job on the MBO and there is a hardcore curl on it afterwards. Because what happens is that's a 65-pound cover. That comes through all these rollers and then comes out with a curl, and there's nothing you can do about it. But the Rosback, it's going to lay nice and flat. That's just going to be a lot nicer. It really doesn't make a difference, but just makes me feel better. These need to stay in order, so I need to cut them and restack them in the same order that they were. Okay, those are all perfed. I just need to cut each of those twice to bring out the 3 cards, put those in trays, and they'll be ready to insert. You know what's crazy about this thing? This goes all the way to 100, and I was running it at 20. That's fast. Another great thing about doing the perfing on a different machine other than the MBO is this is set up to perf, and I can just perf my cards that need to be perfed, and this is set up to fold, and I don't have to switch back and forth. Years before, I would set up to perf, I'd perf everything, and then switch it over and fold it, but breaking that apart and having it on 2 different machines is kind of nice. So I got the second 2 letters. This is for the second mailing done. And I'm printing the 3rd. I have the 4th to do, and then I've got 2 more to impose and print. And then we're going to be doing some inserting. First things first, before I run envelopes, I oil every spot. There's a red dot at each spot on this whole machine that needs oil. So go around and hit them all. As long as you do that, things should keep on running just fine. And don't forget all these down here, and over here, and under here, and in the back. Okay, we're all oiled up here. I've got the number 9s here, number 10s here. Here's 1 mailing. There's the 2nd mailing, 3rd, 4th. Then I have 5 and 6 to print yet. But I'm going to get started on inserting these. Might actually do one of the small ones first. I'm pretty much always setting this up the same way. So I have an envelope here, a letter, and this one is set up for the card. So we'll check all the detectors, fill up the water, make sure we have water flowing, and start running these. Okay, first one down. That one went real quick. It was only like 300 some pieces. So now let's get set up, get these done. Two down, 4 more to go. Okay, I just ran the 2 little mailings through, and I have the last one here to insert. Boy, those 3,000 right here, that went so well, and it wasn't until like the last 500 envelopes that it was starting to mess up. But those ran like a dream, no jams for like 3,000, and it was like just towards the end. Here I am the next day. The thing's been running great. It's inserting at about 1 envelope a second, which is 3,600 envelopes an hour. So I have about another hour to finish up this last half of the 1 mailing. And then we're taking those to the post office, getting those out of here, and then gonna bind some books and then call it a week. That was uneventful, went real well. Got all these mailings here done now. Yeah, and if you're wondering, I use a heavyweight oil when I'm oiling that. You don't want to use a really lightweight oil like WD-40, that just runs away, and you want it to stick where it needs to lubricate. And certainly not a grease, because that won't flow as much. So use like a gear oil or something like that. Seems to work real well. Thing runs like a champ. I want to say it's like 50 years old or 40 years old. It's an old machine, and it'll keep going for another 50 years, guaranteed. I made it. Thanks for sticking around here to the end. You made it. Getting ready to perfect bind these, just cutting them all down. This is a 11 1/4 by 17 1/2 with a 1/4 inch gutter between 2 books that just gets cut in half once, and then there's enough trim comes off 3 sides there when we're binding it. So have a big run for the 1200. I'm excited and nervous about that. This will probably be the largest run that I'm going to run on there, as me being the service guy. So I'm really going to put this thing through its paces. I got stocked up on toner, and I have parts. I have basically one of everything. I have fuser rollers, drum developer, Anything that I actually have a PM kit I should probably do at some point too, but as long as it looks good, I'm going to keep on running it. So we'll be putting this thing through its paces next week. So come back to see that. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Hey. I could